Alrighty, my friends, tubers, the tubettes, and of course my favorite group of all, the crazy people. As a stranger in a strange land, I don't think it's possible to fully appreciate the customs, the laws, and the culture that you're dealing with because you're not from here. And there may come a time where you need to do something that's very, very important for yourself. It may have to do with your visa, it may have to do with the purchase of property. Do you feel that you're fully equipped to navigate those waters, or would you prefer to have an advocate in your corner? Coming up, I'm going to give you both sides of the same story. Okie dokie. So like I said in the little introduction there, I'm here with my friend, JR. And JR has been a professional visa consultant for a number of years. He has locations in Manila, Cebu, and even here in sleepy little Dumaguete. And I have, yeah, and I have been availing myself of his services, and so have many other foreigners, expats, exit clearances, 13As, SRRVs, or just a simple extension. And what JR did back in the day, and I don't want to speak too much for JR, I'll let him explain it, but I think he saw a niche that could be filled. Where foreigners were struggling with all those aforementioned topics of visas, 13As, SRRVs, how do I extend it? Where do I get an exit clearance? And he stepped in and filled that niche and has built it up to a fairly successful business, I would say. 3 locations, Manila, Cebu, and Duma. And so now moving into real estate. And it just so happened that I was having some issues trying to get the title to my home. And a few months ago, JR was made aware of that. We were having dinner together, and he said, Paul, give me your paperwork. Right? And you took a look at it.
That was lunch, though.
That was lunch. Was it lunch?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. See, mine like a steel trap. Okay. Mine's like an empty sieve. Jesus. And so anyway, he took a look at that paperwork. And I can tell you this, that 14 months ago, I was on the 5-yard line of the football field. And he's had my paperwork for what, a couple of months now?
Yeah. Officially a month ago.
A month. It's at the 90-yard line.
Yeah.
It's almost ready to cross over into touchdown.
Yeah.
And
because I think I remember that was February, sometime February.
yes.
You meet me in the port, and we go all the way to pick up your paperwork.
Yep. So, why don't you tell the folks here why you're moving? You're continuing the visa counseling, consulting. Why real estate?
Real estate is something that I do for several years already. And apart from when I started the visa, I always have this purpose to help our client or foreigners to be properly guided here in the Philippines. I mean, navigating in the Philippines is totally different thing. Things are done differently here, as what we have talked about before actually having this video. Right. When you talk about like how the Westerners do their real estate purchase and so on and so forth, there's a very big gap.
Major.
And also with the same thing with the visa side, there's a very big gap because this is a totally different culture here.
Correct.
And I would like to extend my hand to foreigners like you and navigate it through this jungle for you to have your end result.
Well put. I think it's fair for me to say that in America we have all these little protection. You didn't know what escrow was a minute ago.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you about, well, everything's put in escrow, and then they disperse the funds because they're an uninterested third party. And here, you're just handing money over to the seller directly and hoping that you get something in return. Or you set up an incremental payment deal. It can go all different ways.
Yes, definitely.
The hole that I found in the system over here is that there's truly no advocate and there's no real representation for the buyer. It reminds me of that old 1,000-year-old saying, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. Well, you can beware as much as you can. You know, you got to trust and verify. But as JR just so stated, it's almost impossible with the language difference, the cultural differences, the paperwork, all the entities that have to be dealt with. I've been listening to you explain to me what you've been doing for me, and And I still don't know what the hell you're talking about.
How many times I already explained that to you? I think several times.
Can you say that again? 'Cause I don't get it. And for example, the BIR, there's one big payment that needs to be made to them. But
Yes.
your assistant had to go down and pay first two,
Mhm.
and then we're waiting to just pay the third guy. And I don't even know why we have to wait. Why we can't just make one payment to one guy
Yeah.
and let him disperse it to everybody. But that's the way it's done here in the Philippines. And
Exactly.
so the frustration level for foreigners trying to do this is off the hook.
Mhm.
And then more importantly, though, is that I will go out on a limb, and I'm not disrespecting the Philippines or the culture or anything, but when you're dealing with a real estate agent out here, they are interested in their commission,
Mhm.
and they are not interested in me as a buyer at all. I'm the guy that's supplying the money.
Mhm.
Any buyer, could be a Filipino buyer.
Yeah.
He's supplying, let's just call it a Filipino buyer. He's supplying the money.
Mhm.
But if he doesn't know what's going on, the agent may or may not disclose information that's detrimental to the property,
Correct.
that would harm the buyer later on or prevent the clean transfer of a title.
Yeah.
Correct? The
Smooth.
seller is not going to be in my court. He's in his court.
Mhm.
Everybody's looking out for number one,
Mhm.
but nobody is representing the buyer. I think that you're setting up kind of a fee-based organization
Yeah.
or system to where you can fill that niche and you can represent the buyer.
Mhm.
You're not going to be in cahoots with the seller.
Mhm.
You're not going to be having side conversations with the attorney.
Mhm.
It's just going to be straight business for my behalf.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes. Correct.
Okay. And so explain how someone what they would do. Would they call you for a let's just put this as an example. Joe Blow calls you up. And he
Mhm.
says, JR, I'm looking at some land.
Mhm.
I'm assuming you would say, great, go out and pick out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of land and then call me.
Mhm.
What would you do from that point forward?
Okay. First things first, I'm gonna tell him, okay, look for the properties that you like. Choose 3 or 2,
Okay,
because more than 3, you're gonna be confused.
gotcha. That's
So
good advice.
look for that, and once you have that, then let's talk about it. And then once you're really interested about it, then I'm gonna call the representative of that seller, the seller itself. If they have been represented by an attorney, we'll be having a meeting with the attorney, because we will now be taking a look at the documents.
Okay.
Documents is everything in the Philippines.
Everything.
Don't go for verbal transactions. Have everything documented. That is your protection.
There's a lot of wisdom in that. They say verbal orders don't go back in the States. And so if they promise you that the road will be paved within a year, that has to be in writing. Or
Yeah.
don't believe it.
At least that should be in writing. At least.
So what would be some of the warning shots that you would fire across the bow of a foreigner looking at land? Would you tell him, hey man, don't buy that piece of property if it didn't look right to you?
Yeah. Definitely straightforward. I'm gonna say these are the red flags. This is too much for you.
Okay.
Walk away.
All right. What about pricing? Would you be able to look around and say, okay, you're paying a fair price for it, or you're paying too much, or you're getting a great deal, or do you stay away from that?
Partly yes, because I'm also an appraiser.
Oh,
So
I didn't know that.
I also studied about that. That's actually an additional service that we can actually do. I'm not doing officially appraisal yet, but I have a network of appraiser when you wanted to validate things or the pricing of the property that has been offered to the buyer.
Okay.
But technically, on a table appraisal, we can actually have benchmark. Okay, hey, this might be a good price point. This might be the negotiation point because of these specifications, topography of the land, how the land is carved, how the positioning, the cut, the road right of way. Those are grounds for renegotiation if someone sees that.
And you're going to be able to point out to a novice some things that they may or may not even know about, such as ingress and egress, entrance and
Correct,
rights to the road to get to your property. Because you might be buying a property that's behind another property,
Sure.
and that road that you're driving down is just fine today.
Yeah. Fine today.
Fine today. But once you buy that lot back there, what might happen?
Sure. Yeah,
They might block it.
yeah,
Because
definitely.
they can't. Or they
Yeah.
can say, well, we're going to charge you a road tax.
Yes.
I've seen that happen,
Mhm.
guys. I need
Yes.
$10,000 a month for you to use that road because I own it.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so those are some of the
So-
line man.
Yeah, those are the things. The one that you mentioned earlier was really the caveat thing. What's that again? The caveat. Can you mention it?
Oh, caveat emptor.
Caveat into. So
Yeah, let the buyer beware.
let the buyer beware. Okay. Let's go a little bit to your situation.
Please. I
Um.
think, let me butt in for a minute, which I always tend to do. People are going to say, Paul, shut up. Let me talk. I think my transaction is fairly simple.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm right off a road.
Uh-huh.
I got one seller, okay, and it's one piece of land. It's in the front.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a lot of it. It's not being subdivided.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a irregular lot. It's not behind anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's right. It's to me, it's the most straightforward deal I
Yes.
think you can almost walk
Yeah.
into.
Yeah.
And yet it's as complicated as hell. Okay, so I can only imagine. So please go right ahead and finish your thought, or if I haven't stolen it from you already.
Okay. Your viewers should understand when you purchase a property in the Philippines, for you to successfully transfer it, you need to go three things. If I will mention it again, you need to pay the taxes, BIR. You need to, after you have clearance in the BIR, you need to have the title to be named to the new owner, and then the tax declaration. Now, way back November, because that was my birthday, we're having like, but a year before that, you mentioned that you already bought the land,
Right.
which is good.
Right.
And one of the first instance, based on my profession, because I'm doing documentation before, I'm not selling.
Mhm.
I'm doing documentation. When you mentioned about escrow, oh wow, I'm functioning as an escrow partially,
Yes.
because I wanted to make sure that everything will be in order. Because otherwise, if everything will not be in order, then we will have a problem.
Correct.
Now, the first thing is they need to understand that the tax office, their priority is to collect the proper taxes. Second, the titles office, their priority is to make sure that the documents are in order, properly signed, properly notarized, and so on and so forth. If there would be no witnesses, they will actually let you allow to have require you to have the witnesses signed properly.
Okay.
They sometimes they can even check the record or the actual records of the notary. That's one. They can also check that. And for the last part is the tax declaration. That is where the custody or the jurisdiction of the property or the municipality where your property is located.
Mhm.
Now, a month ago, we decided, Paul, let's move forward.
Yeah.
Get the paperwork, we'll have it done. We'll
Let's
actually,
rock and roll.
yeah, let's rock and roll. And then we have successfully submitted the paperwork to the first stage, which is the BIR. We're now currently waiting for the issuance of the certificate authorizing registration. That is the clearance from that office for us to proceed in step number 2.
Mhm.
We're almost done.
Mhm. We are. We're almost done.
And hopefully in the next few weeks, that clearance will be up. You have already paid for that, and it's already submitted there. It's evaluated, and we're just in the waiting game.
Right.
Okay, what happened before that?
Before that, I can tell you what happened.
Please.
Nothing. It was just not moving. It was the person that was
It
helping
did.
me was just kind of like, well, call me later, or I'll get to that.
Uh-huh.
We need time and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And my patience was like, okay, because I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I say, well, you got to wait for this, or we're waiting for that. And it turned out that really what we just needed to do was get into motion.
Yes,
And that's
sure.
what you did.
Yeah.
You took my deal and you put it into motion.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of took the ball away from the other guy
Correct.
and ran with it.
Yes.
And here we are. Like I said, we started on the 5-yard line and you've got it to the 95-yard line. And we're 5 yards away from the touchdown.
Yes.
So when do you think that we will actually have, or maybe May, my wife will have, not me, a title?
Okay. Let's still stick to the 6 to 8 months time period, but we're looking at to actually finish it earlier.
I understand.
Yeah, that's a time frame. But we wanted really now to share with you subscribers what is the current progress. Between 30 days ago, when we got the paperwork, there's a lot of things happening. Number one, you go to the BIR sorting out the tax identification of DVMA.
Yes.
That's number one. I have also re-explained it to you again what is the entire process, and I don't know if you already have it
No,
understood.
I forgot we had lunch. I thought we had dinner. And you want me to explain that process? What are you crazy?
So the objective is to let you know what is the process so that you will be properly aware and your expectations is properly managed.
There you go. That's the key, man. That's where my appreciation, and me and I are so appreciative of you, is that you don't hesitate. You write to me when you know something. When something's happened, good or bad,
Mm-hmm.
you'll say, "Hey, Paul, here's the update."
Mm-hmm.
It's just a steady update. We've done this, this, this. This is what you should wait for. This is 6 to 8 months, but we're going to try to push it forward. But I'm cool to build a house on it now. All right? It's just a matter of waiting.
Yeah.
Really.
It's a matter of time.
It's just a matter of time. But before, I wasn't anywhere close to this. And I could have gone into a penalty phase with the taxes
Mhm.
if you hadn't rushed me to get baby down to, or baby May, down to the BIR
Mhm.
and get her properly registered.
Yes.
And that took 2 days on my end.
Mm.
Yeah, that was a fist fight.
Yeah.
And we had to get on a computer, and I had to wait till 3 o'clock in the morning because that's just the way things work out here.
Yes,
It's
correct.
a different animal. As
Yeah.
he said, it's a total welcome to the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's paperwork heavy and it's computerized. It's very, very slow. So that is going to be your position from now on. Just as you were an advocate for easing the transition of taking care of your visa, you now want to protect the buyer moving into a land deal.
Yes. Correct.
I would just go out and say that I think that, and I'll put all your contact information in the description box. If anybody watching this is thinking about purchasing land, or perhaps they've already purchased it and they're not maybe getting the results, or they have questions, or they have doubts, you'll give them a consultation. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So what do you charge for that?
Ah, that's for free. Initial.
Initial consultation is free. So you'll give them your spin on it. I think you got a good deal here. I think this is fixable. I
Mhm.
think this is a bad deal. Best time to call you, I think, is before you buy anything.
Yeah.
That's the premier time.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back in time
Mm-hmm.
and say, "Hey, JR, I'm thinking about buying this land.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?" And
Mm.
then you would have told me.
Where are the
Okay.
documents?
Where's this? Where's that?
Mm-hmm.
And you would have directed me,
Mm-hmm.
and you would have either told me don't buy it or do buy it,
Mm-hmm.
but don't buy it until this happens and
Yes.
that happens.
Yeah. Correct.
Now, is there incremental payments that you think people should do? In other words, so much up front and then so much at the end when something's completed, or
Mm.
is that sort of a case by case basis?
Case by case
I
basis.
figured as
Yeah.
much.
Because every transaction is unique. Now, just like what you mentioned earlier, your transaction is actually not that complicated.
No.
The thing that we need to have it in motion is we just need to have the paperwork in place, have it run into the system so that it will move.
Yeah.
Like you remember me, like I'm telling you, Paul, we need to sign some documents here
Yeah.
before I go back to Cebu, and you show up in the office, sign.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the next step that we're doing right now. Expect a call probably in a week
Uh-huh.
because we're also catching up to pay the taxes so that you will not be penalized.
Right.
And indeed, we make it.
Yeah.
And also for the road right of way,
Mhm.
I have paid a trip to talk with the seller, like, hey, what do you want? And actually, I relayed that to you. We talk it over, and you're pretty aware of that already. So we have that in writing.
Yes.
So there's no such thing as the problem that you're putting it on hold. I have an access to lawyers. I have access to my staff here in Dumaguete, in which we can actually mobilize things out for you so that the documents will be moving. And I will be personally paying a trip to that particular property for me to check.
That's a key thing. That was huge for us because you came out to the property not once, but twice. And then there was the road, the guy behind the seller had some sort of issue with the
Yes,
road.
yeah,
And we had to appease him.
yes.
And it didn't matter to me if I own the road or he owns
Mhm.
the road. So we gave the road back
Yeah.
to him. I don't care. I'm not going to drive that thing.
Mhm.
But that was the thing that got him to sign
Yes.
as he was acting as power of attorney. I
Yeah,
think,
power
for
of
the
attorney.
seller,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, correct.
It got him to sign the necessary document that we needed
Mhm.
to continue this moving forward.
Yeah, and I have that prepared with my attorney. And I said, Paul, can you review the draft so that if it's okay with you right now, if you're amenable for that, then also with BBMA, you sign, and then we're good to go. We'll be on track with this, and we'll be doing this tranche by tranche. And one thing, every document that I actually sent to the office, you have a copy.
Yes, yes, I do. I have a file like this.
And also, we successfully submitted the document, and you have a copy of the claim stamp. So everything's transparent.
Yes.
And if things are not transparent here, that's a very big red flag.
Well, I'm going to reiterate that JR is the guy that is your advocate. He has absolutely no interest in the seller's interest or the attorney or the real estate agent
Or any representative.
any other person but you. He wants to help you. He doesn't work for free. He'll give you a consultation. And then if you want to employ him, I believe you're working on a fee-based thing as opposed to a commission thing.
Yes, case to case.
Like. I think that's fair because some places, some deals are going to be super complicated.
Exactly.
Because they're going to be subdivisions and roads put in, all this and that. And I don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then there's something simple like mine, fairly simple like mine, where it's one seller, one buyer. There's not a mother title. There's not a bunch of siblings that need to sign off. We're not hunting down people that die.
Yeah.
Getting birth certificates. Like I said, it's a pretty freaking straightforward transaction in my mind. And it just sort of sat on someone's desk for a number of months, whatever reason. And that won't happen with JR. Amen?
Yeah, amen to that. So yeah, those are the things. It might be straightforward and simple, but that's what we have mentioned earlier. You just need to know what's going on, and you just need to have someone who will actually guide you. Of course, you can also share your stories to your subscribers once they meet you, that this is my experience right now, because they have different opinions. They have. When I saw our last video, there are several opinions there. Might be favorable, might be not. But that's based on their opinion. Like after that consultation, if I may share, I have several consultations in line. I will not mention the name, but this is what I came across. They're actually considering to buy a property, but there's no documents in place. They have not seen the title even once. That's bad. That's a very big red flag. And when they ask for updates, they've been said that this is processing in this government office. Okay, it's processing in this and that. Okay, hey, that's a red flag. That's number one. Another one is they have actually wanted to buy this property, and I told them, okay, hey, how about the road right away of the property? Are they there? There's also another one. There's a tenant. What is the tenant's agreement once a new buyer would come into the place and say, hey, I'm gonna use my property now. I'm gonna build my homestead and so on and so forth. Because right here, once there is someone living there in the Philippines, or a helper or a caretaker, they have certain rights that you need to follow, and that may cause legal implications later on.
Right.
And you having legal implications in the Philippines is not really a good idea. It will stress you out.
No.
Down the drain.
No. I have found that, even though I have the 13A resident status, I'm not a citizen. So I don't really have any rights here. And for me to go and sue somebody or try to take a legal action, they're not going to give. I don't have much clout. My wife may have, but not me. And so I don't even want to get in that position.
Yeah.
So to me, an ounce of prevention is much better than trying to cure it with a bunch of drugs and documents later. You know what I mean?
Amen to that.
Yeah. Amen, thanks for coming on the channel, Danielle. You guys, the comments before is, well, number one, let me address one of those, is that foreigners can't buy land out here. I'm well aware of that. Okay. It's not for me. It's for my wife and for her future. We have an age gap. I'm going to depart the planet way before she does. And I simply want her to have a place to live so that I know that when I do leave this earth, that she will always have a home. So it's all for her. If I was a single man, even if they allowed me to buy property out here, if they changed the laws and said, yeah, foreigners can buy land, well, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be interested in it. I
Sure.
would just rent a place.
I salute you for that.
Thank you very much. There's also condominiums, but that's another story.
Yeah, that's
And
another
you're
story.
familiar with all that.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions for JR, please feel free. I'm going to put all of his contact information in here. And then we have a sound check blooper that we're going to put in at the end of the video. Okay? All right. So thanks again for coming on.
Yeah.
I hope this was helpful for you. I hope I didn't talk too much as I usually do. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Hi, Paul. How are you?
JR, how are you doing, buddy?
Mm.
Super guapo today. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Here
Just
we go.
like you.
Oh, yes. Give me a kiss, will you?